Hello, Wildcat Nation. I hope you're doing well, enjoying summer as much as possible during these very different times. I want to share with you, to the best of my ability, the state of where we are today. As you know, we put out our back-to-school plan a couple of weeks ago. We are offering face-to-face school for those that want it, and we're also offering a virtual academy for those families that feel like this is a better program for their family. The plans we put out a couple of weeks ago are still the same. We are making improvements to them daily, but I do need to let you know we've made a major change. We are pushing the start of school back 2 weeks for students. This will mean that students will begin the program of education that they choose on September 1st. Teachers will begin at the same time as stated previously, which is August 6th. The biggest reason for this delay is to better prepare for the 2 programs we intend to offer to our students as school starts back this year. The information I'm about to share with you, along with Lisa Robinson, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, is so you and your family can make the best decision possible. Please note that all of our back-to-school plans are subject to change based on updated health and safety requirements from the state and from Hopkins County. Before we give you too much information, I'd like to share with you the calendar changes that were made. If you look on our homepage, SSISD.net, you see right here calendars. You can also scroll down and click on our back to school tab, and the calendar is also living right here on these tabs on the right. So let me explain a few things to you. Some of the changes we made to the calendar, not just last night, but over the last few weeks. As you can see, we're actually starting school now on September 1 instead of the 18th, and that gives us more time with teachers to prepare for the virtual academy as well as the face-to-face we're going to be doing. We changed some of these teacher work days. These teacher work days have been necessary and needed for some of the trainings that we have to do, particularly this year, some new reading training that's required of the state. These trainings are necessary and needed, but we do place those on long football trips that helps our transportation as we leave. I'm not even sure that's necessary this year, but we've moved a couple of things around to match that. So this date was actually on the 18th, is now on the 25th, and I believe we moved this from a Monday to a Friday. Dates are very needed, just trying to strategically place. First semester, because we're starting late, gets a little bit crunched. We actually will finish the first semester in January 14th. We were scheduled to have 2 teacher work days coming back in January. We actually moved one of those to the end of the semester. The thing I need to highlight the most is we've had to put 30 makeup days in here. All the days in June, which total 22, are considered makeup days. It is possible that we would have to make up some days going into June. We hope not, but it's very possible. We also have 8 days, these days with stars by them, in the spring semester that could convert from either a holiday or a teacher work day to a day we have to make up. Hopefully by Christmas things will be more clear and we'll know how to handle the spring a little better. So those are the calendar changes that were made last night. Once again, I'll say we have 2 programs we're working on. We're going to have our face-to-face school, and I'm going to talk about in just a minute. We're also going to have a brand new virtual academy. The decision to attend school virtually or in person is very personal for each student and family. It is not a decision to be taken lightly or to be made without as much information as possible. In terms of what both the virtual and the on-campus school scenarios will look like, I would like to turn this over to Lisa Robinson to share more about our virtual academy. And then I will share information that we will currently have about what on-campus instruction will look like.
Right now, when students and families think about at-home learning, most think back to the distance learning program that was put in place this spring as a temporary emergency solution for our school closures. The virtual academy that we are planning for the fall is very different from the distance learning in the spring. So as families are thinking about making the best decision for a learning environment for their children, we want to make sure that you have an overview that will help you understand all of your options. Attendance will be required daily, Monday through Friday. To be counted present each day, students must engage in activities that show adequate instructional progress for that day, meaning that they must participate in the virtual academy on every regular school day, just as on-campus students do. Likewise, grading for the Virtual Academy will follow the same grading policy as the on-campus model. This means that work will be graded, grades will be reported at the end of each 9-week grading period. Courses that earn high school credit will count in the GPA calculation and class rank as outlined in the SSISD grading policy. Accommodations and support services will be provided to all eligible students to the extent possible that they can be offered virtually. Some more specialized services may have to be offered on campus only. Virtual students will also be eligible to participate in athletics and other UIL activities, subject to the same UIL rules as they are offered. Looking at the instruction in the Virtual Academy, it will be provided through an online format. As in the spring, pre-K through 5th grade students will access their courses through Seesaw, and 6th through 12th grade students will access their courses in Microsoft Teams. Families will need to be able to access internet service on a daily basis. The sequence and pacing of the instruction will follow that of the SSISD curriculum. This means that students in the Virtual Academy will be taught the same skills and content at the same time as on-campus students. It's important to understand that students in the Virtual Academy will not, however, necessarily be taught these skills and content in exactly the same way that it is being taught on campus. Instruction through the Virtual Academy will be designed to meet the unique needs of students who are more independently responsible for their own learning. Virtual instruction will primarily consist of recorded video lessons and independent learning activities. These self-guided instruction will be supplemented through live video conferences with teachers in whole group, small group, and individual settings as needed. Live whole group instructional activities will be scheduled at regular, consistent times throughout the week. At the high school level, it is important to note that it may not be possible to offer some courses virtually due to the specialized hands-on nature of the coursework. In these situations, it will be possible for students to periodically come to the campus to complete the coursework that cannot be done at home. Transportation will not, however, be provided in these special cases. All of the instruction will be provided through Virtual Academy teachers, but all students, especially younger students, will need strong support at home to create a learning environment that is conducive to a successful education. Students and families should think about implementing a regular daily school schedule, as well as defining a designated workspace that will allow students to consistently participate in school and progress academically. It may be necessary throughout the year for students to switch their enrollment from virtual to in-person or in-person to virtual. This is allowable at the end of a 9-week grading period. It is also very likely that students may test positive for COVID and will experience an extended absence. If they are able, students will be allowed to participate virtually for the duration of their absence. This will not require them to move into the Virtual Academy, however. They will be able to work within the digital platform with their classroom teacher. All of this information can be found on our Back to School 2020 webpage. On the right-hand side, you have links to the Virtual Academy overview, an on-campus overview, and our Back to School FAQ for any questions that you might have. If there are other questions that have not been answered here, please feel free to submit a question using this link right here. As we continue to prepare the Virtual Academy for the start of this school year, there are some decisions that can't be finalized until we have complete student numbers. So please think carefully about the best learning environment for your children for this year, and as soon as you have decided, complete the commitment form online in Skyward.
So let me talk to you about our face-to-face in-person school. The biggest part of that is really about safety. What safety protocols, what safety things will we have in place? I know what a lot of your questions are, so I want to try to cover them to the best of my ability. So let me start out by saying, yes, we'll have normal music, PE, and recess, particularly in those lower grades. We'll be moving around. We'll be going to those places. We will also change classes, particularly at the high school. 8 periods, 6 periods at the middle school. In the elementary, we're going to be able to limit the movement a little bit because kids really only move between a couple of classes a day. But for the most part, yes, kids will be moving around. Let me explain why some of those things are the way they are. I hate to make excuses or blame anybody, but the state has said we're going to have school for those that want to come. And if everybody in our student body wanted to come, we would have a hard time limiting numbers. We would have a hard time with social distancing. And so we're just going to do the best we can. We're going to social distance when and where we can to the best of our ability. A lot of this will be determined by how many people do choose virtual. So those are some of the things that are real that we're up against. I want to let you know we won't be doing temperature checks as they come in the door. This is a product of basically that's been going on for a long time. We've done it, and I think the research is now showing, or at least TEA shares with us, that that's proven to be a pretty ineffective practice. Lots of false temperatures have come in, whether it be we've heard students sitting in an air-conditioned car, students taking Tylenol. So this is a practice that we're not going to utilize, taking temperatures as everybody comes in. Our nurses will be equipped to take temperatures as we either see students that seem to look peaked or claim that they feel a certain way. We would send a nurse and start with a temperature process there. As far as face mask goes, we're under a governor order right now that we're to wear face masks. 10 and under do not, and students with a medical condition do not have to wear the face mask. So we're going to work within those confines. I don't know if the order will be lifted by the time school starts. If it is, we do not intend to require face masks for students on top of what the governor is requiring. So we may or may not be having students in face masks depending on what the order says at the time, or what the condition you might have that allows you to not wear one or to wear one. I do want to clarify, please remember we're trying to follow TEA guidelines. At times county guidelines can come into play, but we're also looking at UIL guidelines, and so those are different in some cases. UIL is saying, for example, that band students in a band hall will have on a face mask until it's time to play. I know it's very strange, but we're dealing with a lot of things like that. I've had a lot of parents tell me they don't want their students to come to school if we're going to require face masks. I've had about the same amount tell me they don't want to have their kids come to school if we're not going to require face masks. So all I can tell you there is we're going to follow the governor's orders. We're not going to implement plans about face masks beyond that. I've already explained a little bit about social distancing and class size. We're very limited on how many come. That's one of the things we need the commitment form for, so that we can start to see just exactly how many students will be in our face-to-face. We're going to do the best we can with small class sizes, and we're going to do the best we can to social distance. We're going to have protocols for sick students that we follow strictly, and they're going to be posted a week before school. So we'll push those out and let you know what our plans are as somebody may or may not have the symptoms and how we'll deal with that. We're going to do a lot of extra cleaning. We have purchased a backpack system, and we have an employee team that's going to go to each campus. We have a chemical that we are told keeps things clean for 30 days, actually 45, but we're not going to trust that totally. We're going to clean every campus thoroughly with this chemical that is supposed to be a 45-day chemical once every 30 days. Then we're going to follow up. Each campus is equipped with a squirt gun, similar type chemical, more on a daily basis. We're going to equip our custodians with a better chemical than we've normally used, and more procedures for when and where they'll clean. And yes, to some degree, teachers will help out as far as some local spraying they'll be able to do, or wiping with different wipes. So we have, in my opinion, 4 layers of a cleaning system that we're going to utilize and keep things really clean. We're going to go outside as much as possible, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we're as safe as we can. A lot of this will change over the next few weeks. We're going to be developing new procedures possibly for walking in the halls. One of the reasons we really wanted to get with teachers and get their input on how we can make things better and safer. Lunch, we intend to go to the lunchroom for lunch. We've talked all about the different ways to get to the classroom and don't feel like any of those are really very different than some of the things we can do in a cafeteria, but do differently than we've done in the past. So we do intend to go to the cafeteria, but a lot different than we have in the past. So to sum it up, for our face-to-face program, it's really all about safety. And we truly, truly want to make things as safe for our students, for our teachers, as we possibly can. We do feel limited in some areas based on the way the procedures have been written for us. So I understand there's some room there for some concern, I want you to know we're going to do the absolute best we can in every case. The one thing I want to really address is transportation. Transportation is probably our toughest piece of this puzzle. We are going to be required to provide transportation, and there's really not many limits on how many are on a bus. So I would just ask if you can in any way not utilize our transportation services, we would much appreciate that, to leave it for those that really can't live without it. We're going to put kids on the bus and we're going to space them out as much as possible, but if we end up with numbers that want to ride the bus that don't allow us to space very well, that's where we are. That's what we're going to have to do. We are limited on bus drivers already. COVID will cause some of our bus drivers to not be able to drive, so transportation will be quite a challenge for us, and we really are asking for this community to reach out and help us as much as you can in the area of transportation. If you have a way to get your student to school beyond using the bus, we just ask that you would utilize that. If there's a neighbor that can help out and you guys can carpool or whatever it be, we're going to have to ask SS to rise up and help us in this transportation realm.
As we look ahead to the start of the school year, we want to encourage students and families to begin gearing up for school now. This is as simple as encouraging your children to read every day, or maybe start writing in a journal daily. Also, we're very excited to offer you this Gear Up for School resources page. Beginning on Monday, this page will be live, linked to our Back to School 2020 page. And this offers simple and practical ideas for games and other engaging activities that you can use with your children to get their minds academically engaged. I hope these resources will be helpful and you might find some simple ideas or good tips and tricks for working with your children. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and I hope you're as excited to get back to school as we are.
Wildcats, let me close this up for you. This will no doubt be a very interesting year. I just believe we as a community can do it. RSS is a spirit that lives, and we need it now. Rise up, SS, and help us make this happen. I know we don't all agree on every piece of how this should look, but let's lift each other up and make this happen. Our kids deserve the best we can give them, and that's what we intend to put forth. I look forward to a new year, mainly because I'm ready to get back to normal as soon as we can, and I can't wait to see the things our amazing students will be able to do on the courts, on the fields, in the classrooms once again. So excited to get to be with you all again. We have challenges ahead of us, but I know we can meet them. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Wildcats.